Anya was a young girl with big dreams, living in a small, quiet village surrounded by fields and narrow dusty roads. Life in the village was simple, yet challenging, and most people spent their days working hard just to make ends meet. But Anya's heart was different. From a very young age, she had a deep love for learning. She loved books, she loved stories, and more than anything, she loved the feeling of discovering something new. Every time she opened a book, it felt like stepping into a whole new world, a world where anything was possible. Her family was humble, and though they worked tirelessly in the fields, they didn't have much money. Anya's parents knew the value of education, and they encouraged her to study, but the village didn't have a proper school nearby. The only school was far away, almost 10 miles from her home, and the journey was not easy. It passed through narrow paths, fields, and sometimes even small streams, yet Anya never let the distance discourage her. She believed that knowledge was more valuable than comfort, and no road, no matter how long, could stop her from reaching her dream. Every morning, before the sun even rose, Anya would wake up with the first light, brush her teeth, eat a quick breakfast, and carefully pack her books. She always made sure nothing was left behind, because every lesson was precious to her. Every notebook, every pencil, every textbook mattered. She would tie her hair into a neat braid, put on her worn-out shoes, and step out into the cold, misty air of the early morning. As she walked, she would greet the neighbors, smile at the chickens running across the road, and sometimes stop to watch the sunrise, which made the long journey a little more magical. The villagers often watched her in awe. Some called her stubborn, some called her brave, but everyone knew she was different. Most children her age would sleep longer or play in the fields, but Anya had a mission. She walked alone most of the time, yet she never felt lonely. She carried her dreams in her small bag, and that gave her strength. She imagined herself as someone who could change her life and maybe even help others in the future. And that thought kept her moving, even when her legs ached and her feet were sore. Anya's life was not just about walking miles, it was about her attitude towards life. Her determination was inspiring. Even for adults, she faced challenges that would have discouraged many, but she had a courage that came from deep inside. She had learned that success doesn't come to those who wait, it comes to those who are willing to go the extra mile. Literally and figuratively, she learned to enjoy the journey itself, noticing small things along the way: a bird perched on a tree, a butterfly dancing in the air, a farmer waving at her. Each tiny moment added joy to her routine, making her journey less tiring and more meaningful. Even when it rained, Anya refused to stay home. She would wear her old raincoat, grip her books tightly, and continue walking through puddles and muddy paths. She would sometimes slip or stumble, but she would get up and keep going, smiling to herself, because she knew that every step she took was a step closer to her dream. And when the scorching summer sun came, she would still walk, wiping sweat from her face, her eyes focused on the school ahead. She had developed a discipline and patience that was rare for someone her age. Anya's parents watched her with pride and worry at the same time. They were proud because she had such a strong will, but they were worried about her safety, about the long distances and the possible dangers along the way. Yet they never asked her to stop, because they understood her heart. They knew that Anya's love for learning was bigger than any fear, bigger than any difficulty, and they quietly supported her in every way they could, providing her with a small lunch, making sure her bag was ready, and praying for her every morning. Even among her classmates at school, Anya stood out, not because she was the fastest runner or the strongest, but because of her focus and her desire to learn. She would sit in the front row, listen carefully to every lesson, ask questions, and help others when they didn't understand. Her teachers noticed her efforts, and they often praised her for her dedication. But for Anya, it was never about praise. It was about learning, about opening her mind to new possibilities, about growing into someone who could one day make a difference. In her quiet moments, when she rested under a tree along the way or sat by a small stream to drink water, Anya would dream about the future. She imagined herself becoming a teacher, a scientist, or even a leader in her village. She imagined children following her footsteps, learning not just from books but from her example of determination and courage. These dreams kept her heart warm, even on the coldest mornings. Anya's story is not just about walking 10 miles to school, it's about the strength of a young girl who refused to give up, about her courage, her patience, and her unwavering faith in the power of education. Even though she was small, even though her world was limited, she had a vision, and that vision made her unstoppable. Each day was a new adventure, each step a testament to her spirit. And little did she know that her incredible journey was about to catch the attention of someone who could change her life forever. Every morning, just as the first light of dawn stretched across the village, Anya set out on her long journey to school. Her small feet pounded the dusty path, the sound echoing softly in the quiet air. While other children her age were still in their beds, dreaming about playtime, she was already walking, carrying her worn-out bag filled with books, notebooks, and pencils. Each step she took was heavy, not because she was weak, but because the distance was long, almost 10 miles, a challenge that would test the patience and determination of anyone. The journey was not easy, and the path itself seemed to test her resolve. There were stretches of rocky ground that hurt her feet and patches of mud that clung to her shoes. The narrow lanes twisted through fields of tall crops that sometimes brushed against her shoulders, leaving streaks of dirt on her clothes. Streams of water from early morning irrigation crossed her way, and she had to carefully balance on stones or risk falling. Yet Anya never complained. She had learned to embrace the struggle as part of her routine, almost as if the path itself was teaching her patience, resilience, and strength. Along the way, she encountered obstacles that would discourage most people, but she treated every challenge as a small victory, stepping over fallen branches, ducking under low-hanging tree limbs, and carefully avoiding stray animals roaming the roads. On rainy days, the dirt paths transformed into slippery rivers of mud, yet she put one foot in front of the other, gripping her books tightly, her eyes focused on the distant school. Each obstacle became a test of her determination, a test she refused to fail. Even the scorching heat of the summer sun could not slow her down. As the sun climbed higher, her small body would sweat profusely, her shirt sticking to her back, but she would pause only briefly to drink water from the bottle her mother packed for her. She would wipe her forehead, take a deep breath, and continue walking, imagining that each step brought her closer to her dreams. The journey was long, exhausting, and sometimes lonely, yet her mind was alive with thoughts of learning, of discovering new things, and of one day making a difference in the world. What made the struggle even harder was that she often carried her younger siblings' homework and lunch in the same bag, helping her family while pursuing her own education. She walked past busy farms where men and women worked tirelessly, nodding politely to those who noticed her walking by. Sometimes they would call out, "Why do you walk so far, little one?" And she would smile shyly, replying, "To learn." Their words often carried surprise and admiration, but Anya never thought of herself as extraordinary. She only thought of her books, her lessons, and the small steps she had to take each day to reach them. Despite the hardships, Anya found moments of joy along the journey. A soft breeze, the chirping of birds, and the scent of wet earth after a night of rain made her morning walks feel almost magical. Sometimes she would hum little songs to herself, keeping her spirits high, imagining that her determination was a kind of adventure, a journey not just to school but to a brighter future. Each day, she felt herself growing stronger, more focused, and more patient. She began to see her struggle as a teacher, showing her the importance of persistence, courage, and hope. By the time she reached the school gate, Anya was tired, her feet sore, and her bag heavy, yet there was always a small smile on her face, because she knew that every mile she walked was an investment in her future. She joined her classmates, not with complaints about the journey, but with excitement about the lessons that awaited her. Her teachers noticed her energy and commitment, often praising her for her dedication. But Anya never boasted or sought attention. Her motivation came from inside, from a love for knowledge that burned brighter than the fatigue of her long walk. Anya's daily struggle was not just about the distance she walked. It was about the courage she carried in her heart. The village roads, the mud, the sun, the rain, they were all part of her story, shaping her into someone extraordinary. Even if the world had not yet noticed, each day, she proved to herself that determination could conquer any challenge, that dreams were worth every step, and that no obstacle, no matter how long or difficult, could stop someone who truly wanted to learn. And so, day after day, mile after mile, Anya's journey continued, a journey of strength, hope, and unstoppable determination. With every step, she was writing the story of her future, a story that would soon inspire not just her village, but the world. Anya's journey to school was more than just walking long miles every day. It was a journey of sacrifices, small and big, that most people could hardly imagine. From the moment she woke up in the morning to the time she returned home in the evening, her life was a constant balancing act between her own dreams and the needs of her family. She often skipped breakfast or ate only a little, saving the rest for her younger siblings. Her small hands carried not just books, but the weight of responsibility, a burden she carried willingly because she knew that learning was the key to a better future. She gave up playing with friends or attending festivals in the village. While other children laughed and ran in open fields, Anya spent those hours studying under dim light or walking the long path to school. Every festival, every celebration, every moment of rest was replaced by the hope of knowledge. She understood that fun and comfort were temporary, but education could change her life forever. The other children sometimes asked her, "Why don't you come to play?" And she would smile gently. "I will play when my dreams come true." Their puzzled expressions never discouraged her, because she knew that sacrifices were the stepping stones to success. Anya's family noticed her dedication and quietly supported her, but they too faced challenges. They didn't have extra money for school supplies or uniforms, sometimes even for books, so Anya learned to make do with what she had. She carefully preserved her notebooks, reused pages, and wrote lessons with neat handwriting so nothing would go to waste. She shared her pencils with friends who didn't have any and repaired her own torn shoes instead of asking for new ones. Every little sacrifice she made was a lesson in humility and resilience. Even her sleep was often compromised. She would wake up before dawn, and at night, when the household went quiet, she would sit by a small kerosene lamp, revising lessons and memorizing new topics. Her eyes would sting from fatigue, but she refused to stop. She understood that the journey of learning demanded dedication, and dedication required sacrifice. Her health sometimes suffered, yet she kept going, knowing that the temporary discomfort was nothing compared to the lifetime of knowledge she was gaining. Anya also helped her family with daily chores, balancing work and studies with an almost impossible grace. She would fetch water from the well, sweep the floor, cook simple meals, and care for her younger siblings. Yet, she never complained. She believed that responsibility was part of life, and handling it would make her stronger. Even when she felt tired, even when her shoulders ached from carrying heavy books, she reminded herself that her sacrifices were seeds planted for a brighter future. Seeds that would one day grow into something beautiful. Her teachers noticed the extraordinary dedication hidden behind her quiet demeanor. They saw her arrive at school, sometimes wet from rain, sometimes dusty from the road, yet always alert, always eager to learn. They admired her courage, but they also saw the cost of her commitment, the sacrifices she made that no one else could fully understand. And though Anya never sought recognition or reward, her story slowly became known among her classmates, inspiring others to value education and persevere through their own struggles. The sacrifices Anya made were not just physical, they were emotional and social too. She missed birthdays, family gatherings, and the laughter of friends at play. She often sat alone during breaks, studying instead of joining games. Her heart longed for companionship, but she chose the path of patience and focus, believing that someday, her efforts would be rewarded. Her sacrifice was her silent promise to herself, that no matter how hard life got, she would never abandon her dream. And in those quiet, lonely moments, Anya often imagined a life transformed by her efforts. She dreamed of being someone who could inspire others, someone who could provide opportunities for children in her village to study without walking miles, someone who could show that determination and sacrifice could overcome any obstacle. These visions gave her courage to continue, even when the journey felt endless and exhausting. Anya's story shows that true success is never free of sacrifice, that every achievement demands effort, patience, and endurance, and though the world may not notice these sacrifices at first, they quietly shape a person, giving them strength, wisdom, and resilience beyond their years. Every step Anya took, every task she completed, and every moment she gave up for her studies was preparing her for something greater, something that would soon make the world take notice of the extraordinary girl who walked 10 miles every day just to learn. One ordinary morning, the village road was buzzing quietly with the usual activity of farmers heading to the fields and children walking to school, but something unusual was about to happen that would change Anya's life forever. As Anya began her familiar 10-mile walk, carrying her heavy bag of books, she noticed a shiny black car slowly driving along the dusty path. The car moved cautiously, slowing down as it approached her, and she instinctively stepped aside, unsure why anyone in such a vehicle would be traveling this road so early? Inside the car sat a man in an expensive suit, with sunglasses reflecting the early sunlight. He was Mr. Kapoor, a well-known millionaire who had built his fortune through businesses in the city. He often traveled to the countryside for meetings and investments, but on this particular morning, he had noticed something unusual from a distance: this small girl walking miles each day, alone, and carrying her school bag with such determination that it caught his attention. Curiosity sparked. He decided to follow her discreetly, wanting to understand what motivated a child to walk so far, day after day. As Anya walked, the sun rose higher, and the road became warmer. Her steps were steady, but the long journey had already made her legs ache. She paused briefly by a small stream to drink water and straighten her bag, oblivious to the car trailing a few meters behind. Mr. Kapoor watched silently, fascinated. He saw a child who did not complain, who did not look back in fear or frustration, who carried her burden with grace, and he realized immediately that this was not just a walk to school. This was something extraordinary, something rare. He watched as she carefully navigated through muddy patches, hopped over small ditches, and smiled at the occasional passerby. Anya's focus never wavered, her eyes constantly scanning the road ahead, always moving forward. Mr. Kapoor felt a strange mix of admiration and wonder. He had seen many determined adults in his life, but rarely had he witnessed such courage and perseverance in someone so young. His heart stirred with curiosity and respect, and he knew he had to see where this journey led. Hours passed, and Anya's pace never slowed. Even when her shoes rubbed painfully against her feet, she tightened the laces and continued, stepping over rocks and avoiding puddles as if the path itself respected her resolve. Mr. Kapoor followed quietly, his car rolling gently behind her. He wondered what drove a young girl to walk such a distance every single day. What secret could be worth such effort? Could it be ambition, duty, or something deeper? He needed answers, and he knew he would get them only if he observed carefully. As the school came into view, Anya's face lit up with excitement. Her eyes sparkled at the sight of the building she had been dreaming about for years. She quickened her pace, eager to reach the classrooms, eager to learn, eager to grow. Mr. Kapoor's heart swelled with admiration. This was not just determination, it was a love for knowledge so pure that it transcended exhaustion, pain, and the ordinary limits of childhood. It was a story that demanded recognition, a story that needed to be heard. Finally, Anya entered the school gates, and Mr. Kapoor parked his car nearby. He watched her disappear into the building, and a sense of awe filled him. He had just witnessed something he had never seen before, a child walking miles every day, not for play, not for reward, but for education. A sense of responsibility grew within him, a thought that perhaps he could do something to support this incredible journey, to not let such determination go unnoticed or unappreciated. That day marked the turning point in Anya's life. Though she did not know it yet, her quiet persistence had captured the attention of someone who could change her world forever. Mr. Kapoor drove back with a plan forming in his mind, a plan to not just follow her, but to understand, support, and reward the courage and dedication he had witnessed. He realized that this small, determined girl held within her the potential to inspire countless others, and that he had the opportunity to help nurture that potential. And so, what began as an ordinary walk for Anya had turned into the first chapter of a life-changing story, one that would soon bridge the gap between her humble village and the world of possibilities that awaited her. A journey that had seemed ordinary to everyone else had now caught the eye of someone powerful, someone who could open doors she had never even imagined, and all because of her relentless courage, her unshakable determination, and her love for learning. Mr. Kapoor parked his car quietly near the school, his mind racing with curiosity and admiration. He had followed Anya that morning, watching her brave the long, dusty roads, the rocky paths, the muddy patches, and the scorching sun, but nothing had prepared him for what he was about to witness. As he waited outside, he watched Anya emerge from the school gate later in the day, her small figure tired but proud, carrying her books carefully in her worn-out bag. Her face was glowing not from the sun, but from the satisfaction of learning, and Mr. Kapoor felt something stir deep inside him, a mix of awe, respect, and inspiration. Curiosity pushed him to follow her further, to see not just where she walked, but why she walked. What was driving this girl, so young, so small, to endure such hardship every single day. He drove slowly behind her as she retraced her steps toward her village, sometimes stopping to help younger children cross the road or to greet a neighbor. She treated the journey as more than a path to school. It was a lesson in patience, kindness, and responsibility, and Mr. Kapoor was beginning to understand that he was witnessing something extraordinary. As Anya walked, she spoke softly to herself, reciting lessons from the day, repeating difficult words and formulas she had learned in class. Her determination was almost tangible. It radiated from her small frame, making even the heaviest bag she carried seem light compared to the strength of her spirit. Mr. Kapoor realized that this was not a mere daily routine, this was dedication, passion, and a love for learning so pure that it could move mountains. The realization hit him hard. Here was a child whose dreams were bigger than her circumstances, and she had the courage to chase them relentlessly. Along the way, Anya paused by the river to rest, setting her bag carefully on a stone. She drank water from a small bottle, wiped her brow, and gazed at the horizon as if imagining the future she wanted for herself. Mr. Kapoor parked nearby, careful not to disturb her, but he could not stop himself from thinking about the countless children in the world who had talent, ambition, and dreams, yet lacked guidance and support. He thought about the sacrifices she made, walking miles through heat, rain, and exhaustion, just to gain knowledge that many took for granted. Then came the moment of revelation, the moment Mr. Kapoor knew that he could not remain a silent observer. As he continued to watch, he saw Anya helping a younger child struggling to carry a heavy bag. She bent down, lifted the weight, and encouraged the child with a smile. Her kindness, patience, and strength combined to create something rare, something profound. He realized that this was more than just a determined student. This was a girl with character, heart, and resilience, qualities far more valuable than wealth. Mr. Kapoor's mind raced with questions, but also with ideas. He had resources, connections, and the power to help, but he also knew that he had to approach this carefully, to respect her courage, to honor her struggle, and to ensure that any help he offered would amplify her potential rather than take away from her independence. Anya's journey had taught him something unexpected. True strength often comes quietly, without fanfare, and sometimes the smallest individuals carry the greatest inspiration. He followed her all the way home that afternoon, observing the humble little house where she lived with her family. The house was small, made of clay walls and a tin roof, yet inside, he could sense warmth, love, and pride. Anya entered without hesitation, greeted her family, and began helping with chores before even thinking about resting. Mr. Kapoor watched from a distance, realizing that her life was a constant balance of learning, hard work, and responsibility, and that every day she sacrificed comfort for the sake of her dreams. At that moment, something inside Mr. Kapoor changed. He felt a deep respect for Anya, and a quiet determination to help her. She had unknowingly shown him the value of persistence, courage, and the transformative power of education. She had reminded him that true wealth was not measured by money or possessions, but by the strength of character and the willingness to pursue one's dreams against all odds. In that simple, quiet village, on a dusty road, he discovered something far more valuable than any business opportunity. He discovered a story of inspiration, courage, and hope. Anya had no idea that her daily struggle, her long walks, and her silent determination had caught the eye of someone who could change her life forever. But Mr. Kapoor now knew that this was a girl worth noticing, worth supporting, and worth investing in. He realized that her journey was only beginning, and that with guidance, encouragement, and opportunity, she could inspire countless others. Just as she had inspired him that day, her story was not just about walking miles to learn, it was about showing the world that determination, sacrifice, and heart could create miracles. The next morning, Anya woke up like any other day, her eyes heavy from the long walk she had taken yesterday, but her heart ready for another day of learning. She packed her worn-out bag, adjusted her shoes, and stepped out into the early sunlight, unaware that her life was about to take a turn she could never have imagined. Mr. Kapoor, who had spent the previous day following her journey and witnessing her extraordinary determination, had decided that he could no longer remain just an observer. Today, he would approach her and her family. As Anya walked the familiar path, humming softly to herself, she noticed the sleek black car parked near the roadside. It seemed to have been waiting for her. and curiosity mixed with a hint of nervousness fluttered in her chest. The door opened, and Mr. Kapoor stepped out, his face calm but serious. There was something in his gaze that made Anya pause, yet she felt no fear, only a strange sense of anticipation, as if she knew something important was about to happen. "Hello, Anya," he said gently, not wanting to startle her. "I have been following your journey, and I wanted to meet the girl who walks 10 miles every day just to learn." His voice was kind, but carried the weight of admiration. Anya blinked in surprise, unsure how to respond. Her mind raced, trying to comprehend that a millionaire, someone she had only heard about, had noticed her efforts. He continued, "I have seen how hard you work, how much you care about learning, and how much you sacrifice every single day. That kind of dedication is rare, and it should never go unnoticed." Anya's small hands clutched the straps of her bag tightly. She felt a mix of pride, confusion, and disbelief. Could someone like him really care about her struggle? Could her efforts really matter to someone so important? Mr. Kapoor asked her gently about her daily routine, about the long walks, the challenges she faced, and her dreams for the future. Anya, shy at first, began to speak, her words simple but filled with honesty. She described the dusty paths, the heat, the rain, and the joy of learning that kept her moving. She talked about the sacrifices she made for her family and the dreams she carried in her heart. Mr. Kapoor listened carefully, every word deepening his respect for her courage and perseverance. After hearing her story, he turned to her parents, who had arrived quietly to see what was happening. He spoke to them with warmth and respect, explaining how much he had admired Anya's determination. "Your daughter is extraordinary," he said. "Her love for learning, her sacrifices, and her hard work are the qualities that can change her life and inspire others." Her parents' eyes filled with tears, a mix of pride and relief washing over them. They had always known she was special, but to hear someone of Mr. Kapoor's stature recognize it felt like a dream. Then came the life-changing moment, the recognition that Anya and her family would never forget. Mr. Kapoor offered to provide everything she needed to make her journey easier. He promised to support her education, provide proper books, school supplies, and even transportation if necessary. His words felt like sunlight breaking through a stormy sky, illuminating the long path Anya had walked with effort and love. She felt a mixture of gratitude, disbelief, and excitement. Her heart swelled with hope for the future she had worked so hard to build. But more than the material support, it was the acknowledgement that mattered most. The recognition of her courage, her perseverance, and her dreams gave her a new sense of confidence. She realized that her efforts had value beyond measure, that someone had truly seen her struggle, had understood her determination, and had chosen to celebrate it. For the first time, Anya felt that her sacrifices were not invisible, that her journey had meaning far beyond the long road she walked each day. Mr. Kapoor also encouraged her parents to continue supporting her dreams, assuring them that with her dedication and the right resources, Anya could achieve anything she set her mind to. That day, the family felt a new kind of hope, one that filled their hearts with pride and excitement. Anya knew that her journey was only beginning, but now, she was not alone. Someone powerful believed in her, and that belief became a force she could carry with her. As she hugged her books tightly and looked up at Mr. Kapoor, Anya understood something profound. Recognition was not just about being noticed, it was about understanding the value of hard work, courage, and persistence, and from that moment on, she felt stronger than ever, ready to walk any path, face any challenge, and reach for the dreams she had carried silently for so long. Her journey of determination had been acknowledged, and that recognition had the power to change everything. From the very next day, Anya's life began to change in ways she had only dreamed about. The long, exhausting walks that once defined her mornings were now filled with hope and excitement, rather than struggle. With the support of Mr. Kapoor, she no longer had to worry about worn-out shoes, tattered books, or empty notebooks. Every day became an opportunity to focus entirely on learning, and for the first time, she felt that the world around her recognized her determination and valued her dreams. Her school, once a distant goal, now felt more like a gateway to endless possibilities. With proper supplies and encouragement, Anya's confidence grew. She could concentrate in class without fear of losing her place or struggling with incomplete lessons. Her teachers noticed the sudden spark in her eyes, the enthusiasm with which she tackled even the most difficult topics. They marveled at how she had always been a dedicated student, but now, with fewer obstacles in her path, her potential seemed limitless. Anya's transformation was not just academic, it was personal as well. The shy, quiet girl who had walked 10 miles each day alone began to radiate confidence. She stood taller, spoke with assurance, and began helping other students who struggled with lessons. Her friends and classmates looked up to her, inspired by her perseverance and the recognition she had received. She became a symbol of hope, proving that dedication and hard work could change a life, even in a small village where opportunities were scarce. Her parents watched with pride and amazement. Their little girl, who had carried the weight of her dreams silently for so long, was now blossoming in ways they had only imagined. They saw her laugh more freely, speak more boldly, and dream even bigger. The support from Mr. Kapoor had not just provided resources, it had given her wings, allowing her determination to soar higher than ever before. They realized that sometimes, all a child needs is a chance, a little encouragement, and a belief that they can achieve greatness. As weeks passed, Anya began to inspire others in the village. Her story spread from neighbor to neighbor, reaching children who had once thought education was impossible. They watched her transformation and started walking longer distances, staying committed to their studies, and helping each other along the way. Anya became a quiet leader, not because she sought attention, but because her actions spoke louder than words. She had shown that courage, persistence, and a love for learning could create a ripple effect, touching lives beyond her own. With Mr. Kapoor's continued support, she could now attend extra classes, explore new subjects, and even access books that were once beyond her reach. Her mind expanded with new ideas, new dreams, and new aspirations. She began imagining a future where she could give back, where she could help other children overcome obstacles, just as she had. Her journey of transformation was now intertwined with a vision of helping others, making her not just a student, but a future leader in her community. Even the villagers, who had once thought her walks were unnecessary, began to admire her resilience. They saw that her determination had transformed her life and could inspire generations to come. Parents encouraged their children to follow her example. Teachers praised her initiative, and children looked up to her as proof that courage and hard work could change the world. Anya's transformation was no longer just personal, it was becoming a beacon of hope for everyone around her. At home, the small house that once felt cramped and limited now felt alive with possibility. Anya shared her new ideas with her siblings, teaching them what she had learned, helping them with lessons, and motivating them to dream bigger. Her parents smiled as they watched their daughter grow, realizing that her transformation was not just about better shoes or books, it was about the fire in her heart, the courage to keep moving forward, and the belief that no challenge was too big, no dream too distant. And so, Anya's life had begun to transform, step by step, day by day. The girl who had once walked 10 miles every day out of necessity now walked with purpose, hope, and confidence. Each lesson learned, each challenge overcome, and each smile shared became part of a journey that was larger than herself. She had become a living testament to the power of determination, the beauty of recognition, and the extraordinary results of belief and support. Her story, once hidden in the quiet corners of a small village, now shone brightly, proving that transformation is possible for anyone willing to dream, sacrifice, and keep moving forward. Anya's life was no longer just a story of struggle, it was a story of courage, growth, and the limitless possibilities that determination could create. Anya's journey, which had started as a daily struggle to walk 10 miles to school, had now become something far greater than anyone in her village could have imagined. The girl who once walked alone, tired and hungry, had transformed into a symbol of courage, determination, and hope. Her story spread quickly, first through the village, then through neighboring towns, and finally reaching far beyond, inspiring countless people who had never met her. Even the local newspaper picked up her story, praising her perseverance and dedication to learning. Social media shared her photos and journey, and people everywhere marveled at the courage of a young girl who refused to give up despite every obstacle. Anya, who had once worried about worn shoes, heavy books, and long roads, suddenly realized that her quiet determination had touched lives she never expected. Her journey had grown into a story of inspiration for millions, and yet she remained humble, carrying herself with the same simplicity and dedication as before. Her teachers at school continued to marvel at her progress, now noticing not just her dedication, but her leadership. She began helping other students who struggled to keep up, sharing her notes, explaining lessons, and encouraging them to believe in themselves. What had once been her solitary fight to learn became a mission to inspire others. Anya had learned that her success was not only about her own dreams but about helping others walk their own path toward knowledge and achievement. The villagers, too, changed because of her story. Parents who once hesitated to send their children to school began to encourage them. Inspired by Anya, they realized that determination and education could create opportunities that money alone could never buy. Her younger siblings began to follow in her footsteps, not just walking the path she had walked, but dreaming bigger than they ever had. They saw that obstacles were not walls, but stepping stones, and Anya's example made them believe in themselves. Mr. Kapoor continued to support Anya, but now, their relationship was more than that of benefactor and student. He became her mentor, guiding her with wisdom, encouragement, and experience. But he always emphasized that the true strength had always been hers. All I did, he told her, was notice what you were already doing, and help you see the possibilities. And Anya understood deeply that recognition and support could amplify effort, but it was the effort itself, the daily courage and perseverance, that had changed her life. With time, Anya's achievements grew. She excelled in school, earned scholarships, and even started projects to help other children in her village access education more easily. She set up small study groups, donated books, and encouraged students to walk the same path she had once walked with such determination. Her life had become a bridge between humble beginnings and extraordinary opportunity, proving that a single determined individual could change the lives of many. What made her story even more inspiring was that Anya never lost her humility. She remained the same kind, compassionate girl who had smiled at neighbors on dusty roads and helped younger children carry their bags. She never bragged about the attention she received, the recognition she earned, or the opportunities she gained. Instead, she used her newfound influence to uplift others. She had learned that true success is measured not by wealth or fame, but by the lives you touch and the hope you create. In the evenings, when she walked home from school, she often paused to look at the same fields, streams, and narrow paths she had once trudged along with exhaustion. Only now, the road seemed different, not because they had changed, but because she had. Her steps were lighter, her heart fuller, and her dreams even bigger. She had conquered not just the distance of the road, but the distance of doubt, fear, and limitations, showing the world what courage, persistence, and a love for learning could achieve. Anya's story became more than just a tale of walking miles to school. It became a lesson for the world, that determination can break barriers, that small sacrifices can lead to extraordinary results, and that one courageous individual can inspire countless others. Her journey proved that anyone, regardless of age, background, or circumstances, could rise above challenges if they were willing to work hard, stay focused, and believe in themselves. And so, in the quiet village where it all began, Anya continued to walk the same paths, but now, every step was filled with purpose, every mile with meaning. She had transformed her struggle into inspiration, her journey into hope, and her life into a story that would be remembered, not just for the distance she walked, but for the hearts she touched along the way. She had become a living proof that dreams, courage, and determination could change the world, one step at a time.